All right, welcome guys. I have I got one more person trying to connect via audio, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. So this session is being recorded. So if any of you have to leave before we finish, or if you get kicked out or have any internet issues, you will be able to view it on our YouTube channel tomorrow. So tonight's purpose well, first off, I am Mrs. Bing, the assistant principal here at Crown Point. We have on with us our curriculum team, Ms. Feliciano, our CRT, and Ms. Hernandez, our Dean of Curriculum. So the purpose of this conversation tonight, or this presentation, is we are discussing FSA for this school year. So there's a few things that are going to look a little bit different based on some of the different precautions and things that are going on. But there are some things that are still the same that apply to FSA. Ms. Hernandez and I will be in the chat. Ms. Feliciano, she's our testing coordinator. She's going to lead our conversation here. But if any questions come up during, feel free to type them in the chat, and myself or Ms. Hernandez will respond to you. If it's something that there's multiple people having the same question, I'll unmute and
You're muted.
Okay. So, so for Ms. Feliciano, she can't see the chat box while she's talking, so we'll unmute and let you guys know or answer questions out loud if it's a question that a lot of parents have. When we get to the end, we'll go through and ask for any final questions, and we'll answer those out loud for everyone. And as I said, this is going to be recorded. So the entire presentation will be posted on our YouTube, and you'll be able to hear all the questions, see the presentation again. We're going to send out an FSA letter. And Ms. Feliciano will reference the letter later, in addition to this entire presentation. So you'll get a copy of the presentation, you'll get the video, and you'll also get an FSA letter. So you should have all the information that you need. If there at any point you still continue to have questions, Ms. Feliciano is your first point of contact as our testing coordinator. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Feliciano to get us started. And like I said, we are in the chat box if you need anything.
Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us. So FSA is right around the corner. It literally starts next week, and we're going to get to that. So our agenda today, just quickly, mobile student testing logistics. What is the FSA? Subjects, grades that are assessed, test schedule, the timing of the test, the design of the test, and then our statewide science assessment. And then there's a few helpful resources at the end, along with my contact information. So what are the Florida standards? The Florida standards were adopted in 2014 to help prepare Florida students for success in college, career, and in life by emphasizing analytical thinking skills. The FSA provides a more authentic assessment of the Florida standards than prior tests, in that students will be asked to create graphs, interact with test content, and write and respond in different ways than on traditional tests. So in the past, when we had FCAT, it was a lot of just multiple choice. There wasn't any other formatted question. And now with the FSA, there's multiple styles, whether it's fill in the blank, select two, select more than one, which is different than what they've seen in past years. So question types will assess students' higher order thinking skills in keeping with the higher expectations of the Florida standards. All right, so the first one I'm going to talk through a little bit is the testing logistics for our face-to-face and blended students. So our fully face-to-face and our blended student schedules. So a test day, this is very important for our blended students. Any blended students, we're asking that you report on the specific test day that your grade level is testing, regardless if it is your scheduled day. So for example, third grade will be testing on a Wednesday. No blended student comes on a Wednesday. We are asking that you do show up on that Wednesday so that we can test your child with the FSA instead of having to do it later on. They are welcome to stay the entire day, or they can be picked up and resume learning online when they get home. Ensure that your students arrive at school on time. Testing will begin promptly at 8:30 a.m. So please make sure that they get here prior to that, or else they will not be allowed into the testing room. They will be sitting in a holding room until testing is finished. And then make sure all electronics are turned off once they enter the building. I know a lot of students, third and up, have cell phones, have smartwatches. They all have to be turned off and turned into the teacher. Smartwatches and phones are not allowed. Any electronics, anything that earpods, any of that is not allowed during the test session. Health and safety protocols. So it's the same as we do any other day that they come into the building. All students will be screened at the door. Face-to-face and blended students will test in the same groups, just as if they're coming to school on a regular day and they're in their classroom. Mask will be required to be worn the entire time unless they're eating a snack. And desk will be socially distanced 3 feet apart if feasible. So just like any other classroom environment, however, testing is required to be so many feet apart due to keeping the test secure. So mobile students, testing logistics. So the test day, all mobile students will report on their specific testing day provided. So we're going to get to that schedule a little later on. There is a specific day that we have for mobile students to report to the school to do the FSA test based on their grade level. So you're going to arrive 8 a.m. through the side cafeteria doors, and then testing will promptly begin at 8:30 a.m. We are asking that you bring a dry snack and a water bottle. So our water fountains are turned off. So the only way for them to drink is to bring their own water. Students will need to be picked up immediately after testing is finished, and then school phones will be available for use. No need to bring technology on campus. So again, same as face-to-face, technology is not allowed in the room. So if they're not bringing anything with them except their phone, it's going to have to be turned into the teacher or their testing administrator because it's not allowed during the test session. So health and safety protocols. All the students will be temperature screened at the entry door. Mobile students will not test with any face-to-face groups. So I know some parents were a little concerned about that. They will only be testing with other mobile students. They will not be intermixed with the students that are already on campus every day. Mask will be required to be worn the entire time unless eating their snack. Desks will be socially distanced, and unfortunately, parents will not be allowed in the building at any point during that time. All right, so what subjects and grades are tested? So in elementary, all tests 3 through 5 are all paper-based booklets. There's nothing done that's on the computer. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students will take all their tests on paper. Grades 3 to 5, they test ELA. Grades 4 and 5, they test writing. And just keep in mind, a student must take both the writing and the reading test to receive an FSA ELA score. So they do go together. So they must take both in order to receive a score. Grades 3 through 5 test mathematics, and then grade 5 test the statewide science assessment. As far as middle school, all 6th grade tests will be paper-based. So just like elementary, 6th grade is completely on the paper. And then all 7th and 8th grade tests will be computer-based. So they'll be doing all their tests on the computer, but it has to be done on campus because it's a certain browser that we have to use on campus. And then the only one that tests on paper is 8th grade science. So if your child is in 8th grade science, they'll also test the statewide science assessment on the paper. Middle school, they test in grades 6 through 8, ELA. Grades 6 through 8, writing. Again, their score goes with ELA. Grades 6 through 8, mathematics and or algebra 1. Grade 8, statewide science assessment or biology. And I forgot one on there. There's grade 7. And they test civics. All of grade 7 test civics as well. So here are the testing dates for ELA and writing. So I'm going to kind of go through this table so you can understand. So grades 3, if you are face-to-face, blended, or mobile, so everybody in grade 3, they'll be testing ELA on Wednesday, Thursday, April 6th and 7th. So that is next week on Oh, I'm sorry. I think that's supposed to be Tuesday and Wednesday. I have to double check the dates before we send it out. It's next Tuesday and Wednesday. That's not correct. Days of the week. 6th and 7th, the entire 3rd grade will be testing ELA. So it doesn't matter if you're face-to-face, blended, or mobile, you're still testing on the same day. Again, mobile students will not test with any face-to-face kids. They'll be in a separate group. So grades 4 through 8, face-to-face and blended. So only your face-to-face and blended students are testing writing, grades 4 through 8, on Thursday, April 8th. So if your blended day is not Thursday, we are asking that you do come on Thursday so that you can test the writing test that same day, April 8th, with everybody else. Grades 4 and 5, if you are in the learning model mobile, you're going to be testing writing on Friday, April 9th. So that's mobile students only, grades 4 and 5, April 9th. Grades 6, 7, and 8, mobile students will be testing writing on Monday, April 12th. And then grades 4 through 8, face-to-face and blended only, face-to-face and blended, they will test ELA Monday, Tuesday, May 3rd, and May 4th. And then grades 4 through 8 mobile will test ELA Thursday, Friday, May 13th and 14th. So the reason that's pushed a little bit farther is because we also have the math FSA in there that kind of puts our dates a little bit back than everybody else. And then again, here we have RCCP testing dates for math and science. So grades 3 through 8, only face-to-face and blended students will be testing math on Thursday, Friday, May 6th and 7th. And then grades 3 through 8 mobile will test math and or algebra 1 on Monday, Tuesday, May 17th and 18th. Grades 5, the entire 5th grade will be testing science on Monday, Tuesday, May 10th and 11th. So it doesn't matter what learning model you are, your testing day is May 10th and 11th, and you'll come into the building so you can be sorted into your correct group. Grade 7 for civics, all of grade 7 will be testing civics on May 10th. Grade 8, face-to-face blended mobile, so all of grade 8 will come in to test science on Monday, May 10th. And then grade 8 for biology, all of the biology students will come in Thursday, May 13th to test. Excuse me. All right, so test session links by subject for ELA. So the grades 4 through 8 ELA writing assessments are administered in one 120-minute session, and ELA reading assessments are administered over 2 sessions over 2 days. So if you look at the table, grades 3 through 5, each session length is 80 minutes and they have 2 sessions. So, and they have to be tested over 2 different days. They cannot be tested on the same day. Grade 6 is 85 minutes, 2 sessions. Grades 7 and 8, 85 minutes, 2 sessions. And again, that's on the computer. That's what, if you see CBT, it means computer-based testing. And then grades 4 through 8 test writing in 1 session for 120 minutes. So writing has 1 session, 120 minutes.
Miss Feliciano, just
Yes.
There's a bunch of questions about the time. So if you're a mobile parent, this is the slide you want to pay attention to as far as how long the test is. So because that's how long they're going to need to take this assessment. However, we are going to need a little time for them to get set up. So we're going to ask them to come pretty early. When we send out the sign up Genius on what days you're going to come to test to let us know that you're coming, it'll tell you exactly how much time, unless you have a student who has accommodations, because if they have accommodations, they are allotted more additional time outside of the session lengths that are provided to everyone. So if that is, so if you have a student with accommodations, we'll look at it a little different. They'll probably have to call you when they're done. However, the students that are coming and they are just taking the amount of time that's listed, we'll give you a designated time to drop off and a designated time to pick up. It's just going to be different for each of the grade levels. But that'll be provided with the dates. We just wanted to make sure that everyone had the exact dates that their students will be testing. So I just wanted to add that in there before you moved on.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to math test session links. So grades 3 through 5 math assessments are administered in 2 sessions over 2 days again. And then the grade 6 math assessment is administered in 3 sessions over 2 days. So session 1 is administered on day 1 and session 2, 3 on day 2. This goes for the same as grade 7 and 8 mathematics. So down here, grades 3 through 5, they're 80 minutes apiece, 2 sessions. Grade 6, 60 minutes. So they get 60 minutes, but they get 3 sessions. And then grade 7 through 8, 60 minutes, 3 sessions, all computer-based. Test session links by subject for science. So statewide science assessment for grades 5 and 8 are administered in 2 80-minute test sessions. That's for 5, I'm sorry. Grade 5 science is administered over 2 days, and grade 8 science is administered in 1 day. So grade 5 has 2 sessions, 80 minutes, and grade 8 has 1 session, 80 minutes. EOC, so if your students in Algebra 1, they will take 2 sessions, so over 2 days, 90 minutes apiece in each session. So for biology and civics, they have 160 minutes and 1 session. So 1 day, they get 160 minutes to complete those assessments. So this is the breakdown of the each assessment. So ELA, the writing and reading. So for grades 3 and 5 on the left-hand side on the column, so these are the different categories or domains that they work off of and the percentage of questions that they have on the test. So for example, reading text types, there's literature, there's 50% literature, 50% informational, and then it breaks down key ID and details. 15 to 25% of the questions are based on that. 25 to 35% of the questions are craft and structure. 20 to 30% are integration of knowledge and ideas. 15 to 25% are language and editing. And then for writing, it's determined each year, opinion or informative for grades 4 and 5. And there's typically 56 to 60 questions, anywhere between that in the ELA reading FSA. It's actually almost exactly the same for grades 6 through 8, with the exception of the writing test. It's either argumentative or informative. And again, we don't know. They determine that on each year. It's just one or the other. These are just some examples of what the writing prompt could look like. So it could provide 1, 2, or 3, could 4 different sources that they need to read through. And then it gives you the writing prompt. So write an informative essay about the effects wild animals and humans have on each other when they live in the same area. Use information from the passage in your essay. So this looks like what the students will see when they take the FSA writing. So grades 4 and 5 writing component contributes 10 raw score points to the overall FSA ELA total raw score. The raw score is not the most important score when considering a student's overall performance. FSA, like other Florida statewide assessments, past and present, is not scored using a % correct or number correct scoring method. Students correctly answer the more difficult items receive more credit than students answering less challenging items. So in other words, the scoring model involves both the number and the difficulty of questions a student answers correctly. So test item types in ELA, multiple choice. There's 25 to 50% of the test is composed of enhanced items, which include multi-select. So that could be select all the answers that could be the correct answer. Selectable text, multi-part, table match, editing text choice. It could be a part A and a part B to one question. So this is an example of what multiple choice would look like. Choose the best answer from the answer choices and fill in one bubble for the correct answer. So they're asking for one answer only in this question. Multi-select, choose more than one correct answer from the answer choices and fill in the bubbles for more than one correct answer. So as you can see, it says select 2 reasons the author included. So they would need to select 2 answers in that in this part of the question. Selectable text, fill in the bubble before the phrase or sentence that you want to select. This type of item will ask students to select one or more phrases or sentences from a passage. So it's telling you fill in the circle before the sentence, so it could give you a paragraph and your answer is part of the paragraph. So it may not just look like a multiple choice type question. The multi-part, the 2 parts of the item, part A and part B, may be either multiple choice, one answer, or multi-select, more than one answer, or selectable text, 1 or more answers. So this is an example, like a part A, what is the main idea? And then part B, fill in the circles before 2 sentences from the passage that support your answer in part A. And then that's when they would fill in the paragraph. Table match, students will be required to match the information from each row to the corresponding column. Read the instructions carefully to know how to respond to the items. So filling in the circle to show the order of steps ants take to leave their homes during a flood in the passage. So is this happen first? Does it happen in the middle, or does it happen last? And they would have to fill that in based on what they've read. And then an editing task. They'll read the passage with several underlined words or phrases that may be incorrect. And then following the passage, the editing task items will ask students to review a sentence with an underlined word and fill in one bubble to the correct sentence. If the sentence is already correct and requires no change, they would fill in the bubble marked correct as is. And then this is the breakdown test design for grades 3 through 5 math. So the reporting category for each grade is listed with the % of the test and number of items. So it's all pretty similar. As far as the reporting categories, the percents on the test are a little bit different in each grade level. So for example, operations and algebraic thinking, 48% of the test is based on those questions. Numbers and operations, fractions, 17% of the test is based on that. Measurement, data, and geometry, 35% of the test is based on that. So you can see the biggest chunk of the test is on operations, algebraic thinking, numbers, and base 10. So multiplication, division, word problems involving all adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. That's the biggest chunk of the test. And there are roughly around 60 to 64 questions on that FSA. And then again, when you go to grade 4, operations, algebraic thinking is 21%, numbers and operations and base 10, 21%, fractions, 25%, measurement and data and geometry, 33%. So their biggest chunk is the measurement, data, and geometry. And then you move on to 5th grade, operations, algebraic thinking, and fractions are 39%, numbers and operations, 28%, and measurement and data, 33%. And then this is the breakdown for grades 6 through 8. The reporting categories along with the percent of the test. So for 6th grade, ratios and proportional relationships are 15%. Expressions and equations are the biggest chunk, 30% of the test. Geometry 15, statistics 19, number system 21%. And there's roughly between 62 to 66 questions on all of the middle school grades 6 through 8 mathematics tests. I don't think I need to read through all of it, but it's just, I just wanted to make sure you understood how to read those tables. Algebra 1 EOC, so it could be a grade 8 or 7 student, depending on if your 7th grade student is in Algebra 1 this year. So their reporting categories are completely different than the math, algebra and modeling, 41%, functions and modeling, 40%, and statistics in the number system, 19%. And they have roughly 64 to 68 questions on their test. So now we're going to go into different types of different math item types. They have multiple choice, multi-select, table match, response grid, editing task choice. So multiple choice, again, we've gone through this for the reading one. It's the same thing, just choosing one answer that is the correct answer to the question. Multi-select, again, select all the expressions that have the same value. So it could be all of them, it could be 3 of them, it could be 4 of them, but they would select all of them with the correct answer. Table match, match each number to the value of the number run as the nearest 10. So for example, if you look at 181 and you go across the row, when you round it to the nearest 10, is it closer to 180, 190, or 200? And then you have to fill in the correct answer with that. Response grids. So answer boxes, fraction bar, decimal point, number bubbles. They will see this in the FSA math. So they'll work the problem and find an answer, write your answer in the answer boxes at the top of the grid, and then fill in a bubble under each box in which you wrote your answer. So almost like how they fill in their birthday or the date on the FSA front covers, they're just going to fill in their answers the same way. And again, this is some more examples of response grids, just so they can see what it can look like and how to fill them out versus not filling them out correctly. Again, asking for what fraction is represented by point A on the number line. Again, they're filling in a response grid with that answer. Editing task choice. So students will respond by choosing the correct word or phrase to fill in each blank in a sentence or sentences. So complete the statement above the 2 figures. For each blank, fill in the circle before the word or phrase that is correct. The shapes are both squares, trapezoids, or rectangles because, and then they'd have to give their reason because it's A, B, or C. Moving into science test design. So grade 5 content area. Content categories, they have nature of science is 17% of the test, earth and space is 29%, physical science is 29%, and life science is 25%. And they have roughly between 60 to 66 questions. And again, that is completely paper-based, as well as the grade 8 science test is completely paper-based, and they have the same reporting categories, just different percentages for each. The test design for biology, the EOC, They have molecular and cellular biology, 35%, classification, heredity and evolution, 25%, organisms, populations, and ecosystems are 40%, and then is 60 to 66 questions on that EOC. So test design for science, all items on the science and biology test are multiple choice, so there are no special fancy questions. It is straight pick multiple choice for the science and biology test. Test design for civics. So the reporting categories, there's 4 of them. Origins and purposes of law and government are 25%. Roles, rights, and responsibilities, 25%. Government policies, 25%. Organization and function of government, 25%. So it's split pretty evenly into those 4 categories, and they have about 52 to 56 questions on that EOC. So this is just a reminder about electronic devices. So no electronic devices are permitted during testing. So students may not have any electronic device, cell phone, smartwatch, game system, etc. on them or within arm's reach, even if they do not use them. So even if it's on them and they're not using it, it's still a violation, and it could cause an invalidation of their test if they have it. So just make sure they understand that if they're bringing it, they need to give it to the administrator that they're with during that time. The FSA portal, anybody has access to the FSA portal. It is FSAassessments.org. So it's a communication tool by the Florida Department of Ed and contains all published information regarding FSA assessments and release practice tests. So a lot of the information I went over tonight, you can also find it on this website. And then you can also there are also practice tests that you can access with your child with the answer keys if you would like to have them work through some practice tests prior to the FSA. And then there's a helpful resource slide. So these are just some different places that you can go. The FSA portal I just mentioned, the Florida Department of Ed, and then farther down the line, there's as far as school grades and all that stuff go. And then contact. So I will be your first point of contact if you have questions regarding the FSA. I have included my email address here. And then if there's something I can't answer, I can always ask Ms. Bing and reply back to you. But she's also listed here in case you have any further questions that are beyond me. And I think that is all, Ms. Bing.
Okay, so I want to address some of the questions we saw in the chat, just in case anyone missed them. And then if we continue to have questions, Ms. Hernandez is still monitoring the chat box, and now Ms. Feliciano can see it as well. We'll try to answer anything out loud that's for that we may have missed. So one of the big questions that came up, I did get a few parents that are concerned about their mobile students coming on campus to test. And I just want to be clear about the expectations from the state of Florida, because remember that the FSA is not a Crown Point test. It is a test that we are required to give our students because we are a public school. So there are a few questions about mobile students coming on campus. We are required to ask any student who misses the test to come in to test. We're going to ask you to come in to test. If your student is absent from testing and does not test, if they are in 3rd grade, it is very, very, very important that they test, because this is a retention year. So that means that if they do not take the assessment, they must pass one of the alternative assessments, but even the alternative assessments require them to come on campus. So a 3rd grader is not going to be able to get out of taking an assessment on campus. So I just want to make that very, very clear. All 3rd graders, they either have to pass the portfolio, which of course has to be on campus, they'll have to pass FSA with a 2 or higher, which requires them to come on campus, or they would have to score high enough on iReady or NWEA, which again would require them to come on campus. We are not able to let them test at home. So that's the clarification for 3rd grade. For any other grade level, if they do not take the FSA on campus, it's not going to affect whether or not they get promoted to the next grade. If your student is going into middle school or is in middle school and they want to take advanced courses like Algebra 1, biology, things like that, if they don't take the FSA, I cannot place them in those classes. They must come on campus and take the FSA in order to have that in order to be placed in an advanced course. So I just want to make that clear, though. That's how the FSA affects those students that come in. As far as opting out, there is no such thing as opting out of the FSA. There is no formal letter or anything that you can write that says that my child is opted out of the FSA. So I just want to make that clear. You're not going to have to let us know that. We are going to send out a link to every parent, and mobile parents will complete to let us know whether or not they're bringing their student on campus to test. Just understand that there is nothing that says that the student is opted out of the test or anything like that. If they don't sign up and they don't come in person and they don't take the test, those are the things that would happen. If they're a third grader, they could risk not being promoted. If they are a fourth or fifth grader or a middle schooler, they can still be promoted regardless of what they make on FSA, as long as they have met the promotion requirements, which are passing their classes. Okay, so I want to make that part clear. As far as for the parents that are concerned about their mobile students coming on campus, we are keeping those students separate because that came up a few times. We are going to, when they're having their snack, when they come on campus, when they're waiting for you, they will not be mixed with the face-to-face students. And that is why we have very specific mobile days for students to come in. We need them to come on those mobile days so that we can keep our word and keep them separated. We can't promise that if they're not here on the days that are specifically for mobile students, because we're going to dedicate our time and our resources to our mobile students on the mobile days, and we dedicate our time and resources to our face-to-face students for testing on the other days. So that we can't promise that they won't be mixed if they don't come on their day.
Ms. Bing, we have a lot of questions of dates again. So I don't know if we want to put that slide again of the dates.
You want to go back to the slide, Feliciano? You can go back and share your screen. I'll answer some of the other things while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Again, we are going to send this presentation out, and all the questions I'm answering and all the video and everything, it will be posted on our YouTube channel. So all of this will be sent back out to you in case you missed something or want to see it again. Another good question will we be counted absent if we are missing class? If you're coming in to test, you are present. If you're coming in to take your test and you're a mobile student, you are present and your teacher knows you're present. So you don't have to worry about attendance when it comes to that. As far as makeup, so we have made this schedule so that we have enough time in the window, because there is a window provided to us by the state on when this test must be completed. So if you notice, like the days kind of go back to back to back to back, it's because we have a very limited amount of time. So we really need all of our mobile parents to adhere to this schedule. Even our face-to-face students, please make sure that your students come to school on those days, because if they miss their day, or especially with those 2 sessions, it makes it very difficult to make them up because we have so many different groups of kids testing. So it is vital that they come in. If you have an extenuating circumstance, please contact Ms. Feliciano. But like I said before, if you're concerned about your students being mixed in, your mobile students being mixed with face-to-face kids, we can't promise that if you can't come on that day. We just can't. We just don't have the manpower to make that happen. I don't know if I'm missing something. Ms. Hernandez, if you want to add anything from what we've seen in the chat box. I'm trying to make sure I covered all of the big.
Yeah, another thing that has come up is scores for students that do not take the EOC and are going to high school. How would that work? And also different opportunities for third graders to be promoted if they do not pass the FSA. So for third grade, we have the FSA. Sorry, let me turn my camera on. We have the FSA. If they do not pass the FSA, they have had time also to come in the building if they have been mobile to do the portfolios. If portfolios are not passed, we could also give the iReady. If iReady is not a passing score in 30 days, we could give them the NWEA test, which is our benchmark. And then that would also have to be a passing score. If none of those, only one needs to be met. So one of those have to be a passing score. It could be the FSA. If not, it could be the iReady. If not, it could be the portfolio, or if not, the NWEA. If none of those options are passed, then the student will have to attend summer school and take the iReady again. And that will, if still it's not passed, then they will need to repeat third grade.
I think you covered all the other ones that I was saying. You talked about EOCs and how that's affected. And with third grade, you talked about all the options that they have in order to pass. And again, with third grade, I just want to reiterate that even with those other options, they must be on campus. They have to be on campus, whether it be through the portfolio or the FSA or through iReady or NWA, it has to be on campus. Students do need to wear uniforms and masks when they come on campus. If you didn't have a logoed shirt, because you've been a mobile student, if you didn't have a logoed shirt, you can wear the polo as long as they're dressed in, what looks like the uniform, and that they have on their mask, and they'll have to wear their mask the entire time that they are in the building, unless they're having their snack. So that is another point to reiterate. I think that's it. Did we say that it was 8 a.m., right? The time that they'll need to be on campus?
Yes, just so we can get everybody temperature screened and put into the correct groups from where they're going.
Correct. And there was a question about students being mixed. So on our mobile days, on most of our mobile days, they're just mobile kids testing. So we won't have to mix them with anyone else. We're just focusing on them. There's a few dates on there where there's going to be mobile kids and face-to-face testing at the same time, but that's only in cases where there's a small amount of kids testing. For example, when it comes to science testing, because with science testing, only 5th graders and 8th graders are testing. So because it's only those 2 grade levels, we're able to have separate rooms for our mobile kids and our face-to-face kids at the same time, as opposed to other days when we have a bunch of grade levels testing, then we're limited on the space that we have. We will provide a pickup process for how students are going to be picked up at the end of testing. It just depends on timing, because hopefully we might be able to use the back car line for you to do pickup so that we don't clog up the front office with those students. But we'll provide detailed explanation on drop off and pickup for all of our mobile students when they're coming in to test. We just wanted to make sure we got the dates out to you guys so that you can go ahead and plan ahead.
Feliciano, can you go back to the EOC slide? Multiple people are requesting that one.
What, like the dates and times of it?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a question also about the EOC. If the student is in 8th grade and is going into high school and does not come in to test the EOC, it's still required to take the EOC before graduating high school. So they will need to take it when they go into 9th grade. And then they will adjust according to whatever high school they go. Each high school has their own components, I'm assuming. I'm not really sure or positive about that.
I don't believe the grade is an incomplete, right? I don't believe their grade is an incomplete. We can confirm that to make sure if they don't take.
We could confirm it. I could talk with personal experience. My daughter's grade was not an incomplete last year. Once she took it in the fall, she went and took the EOC in high school, and then they just completed the grade. It stayed the same. Nothing changed.
So yeah, I don't think we'll have that issue, but we'll confirm it just to make sure. Drop off and pickup information we will provide the drop off and pickup information once we have everyone signed up and confirming that they're coming in to test. So we'll have that out before the end of the week because we're finalizing all those plans and all the logistics for our mobile students. So we will send detailed information about that. Backpacks are not required. I did see that question a couple of times. They don't need to bring their backpacks. We provide the pencils. We'll provide the test booklets. We'll provide everything for them. And the testing groups vary in size because it depends on the room that we have them in. Because some rooms are bigger than others, which allows us a little more space. Sometimes we utilize the cafeteria and conference rooms and things like that. So it depends. There's a wide variety of group sizes, but they are not bigger than class sizes. So they're pretty similar to our class sizes. So there will be a follow-up email with the links to let us know that you're coming in, to confirm that you're coming in for your testing date. And that will be in our FSA letter. So there will be a link provided. You'll fill out that information and it'll remind you what your test dates are. And you'll be confirming that you're going to come in and attend. And I think that's it. We did talk about 504s and IEPs. Those students will receive their accommodations just like they would in a regular testing environment. So it is going to be exactly the same. Those are the kids where if you have extended time, your testing would take a little longer. So we would have those kids call their parents to let them know. We can give you a window of time, but that student has X amount of time to complete. They'll get additional time. The earliest they'll be able to come in would be 8 o'clock.
Yep.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think we covered everything. We'll get back to everyone on the EOC grading because it's a little different. It's been a little different the past 2 years. Normally you have to have the EOC completed in order to get the grade, but things they haven't necessarily given us any sort of direction. So I'll just make sure that we cover that in our follow-up email to make sure everybody's aware of the expectation there. For mobile students, parents will need to provide a snack for them when they come in.
And a water bottle.
And a water bottle, yes, because we do not have water fountains on in the building. Yes, you can bring a snack in a lunchbox, that's fine. It'll just stay separate from you until that snack time. Because normally our face-to-face students, they leave their backpacks in the hallway. And yes, scratch paper will be provided. Mobile students should not need to pack a lunch because they should only be here for about an hour and a half, maybe hour and 45 minutes at the most.
With the exception of writing, it's 2 hours.
Except for the writing, yes, that one's about 2 hours. I think. So we'll be sending out the PowerPoint. We'll be posting the video. We will send a link to where you're going to sign up for testing. If you're a mobile student, if you're face-to-face or blended, you won't need to sign up because you're going to come in on that day. And remember, for blended students, you're going to come in to test on the assigned day at the same day as face-to-face students. So if I'm a Monday, Tuesday student, but my test is on Thursday, I'm coming to school on Thursday. So I think that's everything. So we'll send it out. Ms. Feliciano, if you'll go back to the slide that has your contact information so they can see that, or have both of our contact information so that they have those email addresses if they need them. So you guys can go ahead and take note of that. And then we will send everything out. Any questions about 504s or IEPs will go to Ms. Nguyen. She's our staffing specialist. I'll type her name or her email address in the chat box for you.
Yes, middle schoolers can also bring snacks and water and
Yes.
no phone.
No.
No phones, no
Your
phones.
No
or
phone.
smartwatches.
They could get their test invalidated. So no phones. They could call from the office if needed.
I did get a question about about funds on the lunch account. They wouldn't be eating lunch in the cafeteria. So unless they're a student who is staying because they have an extended testing time, the rest of the students will be out before lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Feliciano, when is the sign up Genius going to be sent out?
It's not a sign up Genius. It's actually a Microsoft form. So when she sends out the PowerPoint and the letter, there's a link in the letter that they just click and they answer the questions in the form.
And I'll make sure that your all of the teachers have a copy of the email. That way, if you miss the email, because we'll be sending it between this afternoon and tomorrow, if you miss it, your teacher will have a copy and they can send it to you as well. So they'll have it. They'll have all the same information, and many of them joined us on the call tonight, so they'll have that information for you. Because it'll be sent out by end of day tomorrow. So by Wednesday, if you haven't received it, let your homeroom teacher know, and they will resend it to you because they'll have the same exact thing.
Ms. Feliciano, does the document provide a confirmation when they sign up?
Ms. Banks, you use the Microsoft Forms. Do they usually provide a confirmation when they sign up?
I think it does. We can check and make sure. We can look at it in the morning and make sure
Okay.
that it does. All right, so if any other questions come to mind, guys, please feel free to email us, email your teachers, and we will follow up with you. And all this information will be posted by end of day tomorrow. And then we will be sending an email to you as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.